This lecture looks at the themes of Daoism and Confucianism of ancient day, which continue to be threads of interest in Chinese society of contemporary time. The earliest dynasty was the Zhou dynasty, approximately 2200 BCE, lasted only for 300 years, and there is very little known about this dynasty other than it was an agrarian way of life, and they had bronze weapons that were discovered. It ended when the ruler Qi, who was a very incompetent king, was overthrown by the King Tang, who proceeded to found the second dynasty, the Shang dynasty. In this dynasty were important religious practices. Sacrifices for bountiful harvest were made, and there was a great devotion to the ancestors. Mysticism and superstition were the foundations of the religious sentiments. Survival depended upon a smooth relationship with the cosmic processes of the growing season, and so the practice of divination using oracle bones and tortoiseshell was in place. Here there was thought to be an orderly process of change in nature, and through contemplating the images of nature and the elements of nature, the ethical principles for living were determined. The Zhou dynasty, however, is the most important dynasty and is accepted by the Chinese as a heritage of these ancient times. There are 5 texts that are said to comprise this literary period, and Confucius was one who compiled and commented on these texts. The first is the I Ching. The I Ching is a means by which divination occurred. The primordial principles were heaven and earth, and heaven was a masculine principle. Earth was the feminine principle. Heaven denoted duration and time. Earth denoted spatial order. The union of the two beget all things. The separation of the two was desert. In the Zhou dynasty, there was the practice of Li, which was a ritual or custom consisting of proprietary manners, and it ensured through its practice a proper and ordered harmony within the society. A person with Li was a good and virtuous person. And the hierarchical society, whereby leaders did what was right in the proper manner at the proper time, were leaders who had the practice of Li. The practice of Ren was the human quality that results from acting according to Li. The measures of an individual character were given by the practice of Ren. Confucius says that if a man is not humane, what has he to do with ceremonies? Confucius' dates are from 551 to 479 BCE. He was born of lower aristocracy, perhaps those who had fallen into some poverty, and he wanted to place some order upon the tumultuous times of his existence. So the kings of the central court of the Zhou dynasty were weak. They had once given peace and stability to the nation, but all was violence and disorder among the ruling class, and there seemed to be no power, temporal or spiritual, to which men could appeal. So it was Confucius' solution that people should return to virtue. And unless men embraced the ideal of Jin, humanity, benevolence, or perfect virtue, there was no hope for society, and it could not be spared from the evil cruelty and violence that were destroying it. Confucius had a very strong belief in the natural order that was also a moral order. Heaven for him was a guiding providence, and one's fulfillment as a man came from acting in accordance with the will of heaven. Here are some of the quotes from his Analects. His character is displayed by this particular quote. Having only coarse food to eat, plain water to drink, and a bent arm for a pillow, one can still find happiness therein. Riches and honor acquired by unrighteous means are to me as drifting clouds. Here is Confucius on learning. Those who know the truth are not up to those who love it, and those who love the truth are not up to those who delight in it. Learning without thinking is labor lost. Thinking without learning is perilous. Confucius stated a single principle, which has been considered to be the universal principle of reciprocity and humanity. Here it is. Behave when away from home as though you were in the presence of an important guest. Deal with the common people as though you were officiating at an important sacrifice. Do not do to others what you would not want others to do to you. Then there will be no dissatisfaction either in the state or at home. On virtue, he said, to be able to practice 5 virtues everywhere in the world constitutes humanity. Courtesy, magnanimity, good faith, diligence, and kindness. He who is courteous is not humiliated. He who is magnanimous wins the multitude. He who is of good faith is trusted by the people. He who is diligent attains his objective, and he who is kind can get service from the people. These are quotes from the Analects. On religion, Confucius said, we don't know yet how to serve men. How can we know about serving the spirits? And when asked about the afterlife, he said, we don't know yet about life. How can we know about death? After Confucius came and developed the library for the Chinese culture of the time, there were also imperial exams that were developed that helped develop a virtuous bureaucracy to govern the ancient China. Another philosophy was Laozi. He is said to be in the 6th century BCE and is said to be born at this time, but the dates of his birth are disputed. Laozi thought that if nature were observed and one understood the great primordial power of the Tao, that all would be well. And he embraced an idea of Wu Wei, which is an idea that all that you're in relation to, you should not dominate, you should not manipulate, and you should not conceptualize, for it is a doing nothing. And through the doing nothing or non-interference, all will flourish. This is what Lao Tzu said of the highest good. The highest good is like water. Water benefits all things generously and is without strife. It dwells in the lowly places that men disdain. Thus it comes near to the Tao. The highest good loves the lowly earth for its dwelling. It loves the profound in its heart. It loves humanity in friendship, sincerity in speech, order in government, effectiveness in deeds, timeliness in action. Since it is without strife, it is without reproach. On virtue, Lao Tzu said the expression of vast virtue, Dai, is derived from the Tao alone. As to the Tao itself, it is elusive and evasive. Yet within it there are images, elusive, evasive. Yet within it there are things, shadowy and dim. Yet within it there is a vital force. The vital force is very real, and therein dwells truth. On the principle of Wu Wei, Lao Tzu said, "To seek learning, one gains day by day. To seek the Tao, one loses day by day, losing and yet losing some more until one has reached doing nothing." Doing nothing, and yet there is nothing that is not done. Tao wins the world. One must attend to nothing. When one attends to this and that, he will not win the world. Thus, the principle of Wu Wei sees all that one is in relation to as co-equal. It is an ethical principle that advocates non-interference, that is, no dominance, no manipulation, and no conceptualization. It is to accept things as what they are so that all can flourish and become fully what they are. Lao Tzu's life was said to end uneventfully. He simply rode an ox through the Western Pass and was never heard from again.